The final exam was close, and she was failing. Lena sat in the quiet library staring at the glowing screen in front of her. The numbers, symbols, and alien words floated across the page like a strange storm. Her hands trembled as she scrolled through the exam questions. She had studied all night again, but nothing made sense. The final exam was in 3 days, and she was failing. Her heart sank every time she checked her grades. C, D, and one terrifying F stared back at her. She had always dreamed of being the first human to graduate from the Galactic Academy of Sciences, located far away on a space station orbiting a red giant. But now, that dream was breaking. The academy was full of alien students, creatures, with glowing skin, floating heads, long tails, and minds faster than computers. Lena tried hard to keep up, but she was always the slowest in class. Her professor, Zeval, was one of the oldest and smartest beings on the station. He belonged to a race called the Zenthari, tall with silver skin, 4 arms, and glowing blue eyes that could see emotions as color. Zeval was not cruel, but he was cold. Knowledge is earned, he would always say, not gifted. Now Lena stood outside his office, nervous, her fists clenched. She knocked. The metal door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the room was dim, filled with floating books and alien artifacts. Zeval sat at his desk, his long fingers typing mid-air. He looked up. "Ah, Lena Marks." She stepped in. "Professor, I need help." Zeval leaned back in his chair. "Final exam in 3 days. You are not ready, that is clear." Lena nodded. "Please, I'll do anything. I can't fail. I've come too far." His eyes narrowed. "Anything?" She hesitated, then said, "Yes, anything." There was a long silence. Then Zeval stood. He walked toward a shelf and touched a hidden panel. A compartment opened, revealing a small black box with glowing lines. "Then I have a task for you," he said, voice low. "It is not on your syllabus, it is not in any textbook, but it will decide your future." Lena's eyes widened. "What is it?" Zeval handed her a small glowing chip. "Tonight, at exactly midnight, you will go to the old Sector 9, the place marked on this chip. You will go alone. No lights, no cameras, no communication." "Sector 9?" she repeated. "But that area is shut down." He nodded slowly. "That is correct." Lena felt a chill crawl down her back. "Why me?" Zeval looked at her with glowing eyes. "Because you are desperate, and desperation is powerful. It can make a weak student brave, or it can destroy them." She gulped. "What will I find there?" He turned away. "I do not know what still lives in that place." That answer scared her more than anything. Zeval continued. "Your task is simple. Enter the vault. Do not touch anything, unless it speaks to you." "Speaks to me?" she whispered. He did not reply. Lena stared at the chip. She didn't understand this assignment. It didn't sound like any kind of learning she had done before. It felt wrong, dangerous. But something inside her said yes. She left the office, her mind racing. Was this real? A test? A trick? That night she didn't sleep. She kept looking at the chip. It glowed faintly, like it had a pulse, like it was watching. At 11:45 p.m., Lena put on her academy jacket, grabbed a light just in case, and left her room. The halls were dark. No one was out. She took the lift down to the abandoned sectors. As the doors opened, cold air blew past her. The lights here were broken. Wires hung from the ceiling. Signs were scratched, unreadable. This part of the station hadn't been touched in decades. She followed the glowing directions from the chip. Finally, she stood in front of a heavy sealed door. It was covered in dust. Symbols she didn't recognize ran along the edges. This must be the vault Zeval had mentioned. Her hands shook as she stepped forward, Suddenly, the door opened by itself with a soft, deep hum. Lena froze. Inside was darkness. She looked behind her. She was completely alone. A voice whispered from inside the room. It was soft, like a wind inside her mind. She couldn't tell if it was in English or not, but somehow she understood. Enter. We have been waiting. Lena's breath caught in her throat. She stepped forward, and the door closed behind her. Darkness. Silence. But something in the air had woken up. The task was simple, but terrifying. The darkness inside the vault felt alive. Lena could barely breathe. The air was thick, heavy, and strangely warm. She reached for her emergency light, but as soon as she touched it, a whisper echoed through the chamber. No light, only trust. Her fingers froze. She let go of the light. Something was watching her. She couldn't see it, but she felt it, like 100 eyes floating in the dark, studying every move she made. Suddenly, faint lines of blue light appeared. On the floor, drawing a path ahead, Lena stepped carefully onto it. The floor was made of some kind of smooth black glass that reflected her image, except the reflection was delayed, like it moved just a second slower than she did. She didn't know if she was being tested or hunted. As she walked deeper into the vault, she saw strange floating shapes, metallic cubes, spinning rings, and crystal shards that hummed softly. None of it looked like normal technology. It looked ancient, like it belonged to a forgotten civilization. The whispers returned. Prove you are worthy or be forgotten. Then, in the middle of the room, a platform rose from the ground. A hovering orb appeared above it, black and silver with moving lines like circuits glowing under its surface. The orb turned to her, though it had no eyes. It spoke. You are not Zenthari. You are not pure mind. You are human, soft, emotional. Lena swallowed hard. I was sent by Professor Zevel. Zevel, the orb repeated. He once stood here. He failed. He ran. She blinked. Failed? He feared the truth, the orb said. Now he sends you to finish what he began. Lena's mind spun. What was this place? What did Zeval hide? Then the orb changed shape. It became a cube, and symbols appeared on its sides. The glowing path on the floor faded. Everything around her went quiet. Solve this puzzle, it said. Only one answer is correct. One path leads to knowledge. The others, to silence. The cube floated in front of her. 3 symbols glowed. One looked like a sun broken in half. The second was a spiral with a dot in the center. The third was a triangle filled with stars. Each symbol pulsed as if alive. Lena's hands shook. She remembered these symbols from a lesson Zevel once gave. The ancient code of the precursor race, he had called it. Only scholars with deep memory could understand them. But Lena wasn't a top student. Still, she stared at the triangle filled with stars. And something about it felt right. She slowly reached out and touched it. Silence. Then, a gentle chime rang through the vault. The orb shifted again. It split in two, revealing a small, glowing crystal inside. The answer was not in the books, the voice whispered. It was in your instinct. Lena picked up the crystal. It was warm. Inside, she saw glowing patterns. And a name. Zeval. Her heart raced. She whispered, "Why would my professor's name be inside this?" "Because he is not just your teacher," the vault replied. "He was once a guardian of this place, until he ran from his purpose." Lena held the crystal tighter. She needed answers. Zevel had sent her here to test her, but now it felt like he was hiding something much bigger. The vault door behind her opened. Bright light poured in. Lena turned back one last time. The orb and symbols were gone. The vault was empty, like nothing had ever happened. She walked out, back into the cold halls of Sector 9, still holding the crystal. Her hands were shaking not from fear anymore, but from the truth she now carried. She had entered a place forbidden, faced something ancient, and passed a test that once defeated even her brilliant professor. But what came next scared her more than the dark. Inside the vault was a memory not meant for her eyes. Lina walked quickly through the quiet halls of the space station. She kept checking over her shoulder, clutching the glowing crystal tight in her hand. Something about it made her skin tingle. It felt alive. The moment she stepped into the main corridor, the lights flickered. Were they always this dim? She reached Professor Zaval's office and knocked hard. The door opened instantly, like he was waiting. He turned, his glowing blue eyes narrowing as they landed on the crystal in her hand. "You brought it," he said softly. His voice, usually sharp and cold, now sounded distant. "Tired?" "I found it inside the vault," Lina replied. The orb said, "Your name?" Zaval didn't speak. He stared at the crystal for a long moment before finally walking over and sitting down. "I was hoping it would remain buried forever," he muttered. "But why did you send me?" she asked. "Why not go yourself?" Zaval looked up, and for the first time, Lina saw something strange in his eyes. Fear. "Because the vault no longer accepts me," she blinked. "What does that mean?" He sighed. "That place was built by an ancient race, older than the Zinthari. They created guardians, devices with minds of their own. They judge people who enter. They decide who is pure." "Pure?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "Free from greed, hate, lies." Lina suddenly remembered the whisper. "Only trust." Zaval leaned forward, his voice low. "I went in once, long ago. I was young, foolish, full of ambition. I tried to take the crystal by force. The vault rejected me. It burned my memory. I lost years of my life." Lina's heart pounded. "So the vault gave the crystal to me? Because it didn't trust you?" "Yes," he said. "Because it saw something in you that it did not see in me." Lina placed the crystal on his desk. "What is it? What's inside?" Zaval didn't answer right away. Instead, he placed both his hands over it. The crystal glowed, and suddenly, a beam of light shot up. A hologram appeared in the air. It was a recording. A younger Zaval stood in the center, wearing armor, his eyes full of fire and pride. Behind him stood alien soldiers, all wearing the same symbol, a broken sun. "I was a code guardian," he explained. "We protected precursor technology during the Great AI Wars. We were chosen to hold knowledge too powerful to be shared. But I couldn't handle it." The hologram Zaval raised a small cube and said, "This is the last code. If activated, it awakens the precursor fleet. Thousands of ships, weapons no galaxy should ever see again." The recording paused. Zaval looked at Lina. "I locked that code away. I wiped my mind. I became a teacher hoping to forget. But now, it's awake again," Lina said softly. He nodded. "Yes, and that means others are searching for it too." Suddenly, a warning alert blared through the station. Red lights flashed. An alarm echoed in every hall. Zaval stood. "They've found us." "Who?" Lina asked, fear gripping her chest. "The ones who want the code for power. Raiders, warlords, AI remnants. I don't know which. But they're here." He grabbed the crystal and handed it back to her. "No," she said. "You should take it." He shook his head. "They won't suspect you. You're just a student. Hide it. Protect it. You were accepted by the vault, not me." The ground shook. Distant explosions echoed. Zaval pressed a panel on the wall. A hidden door opened behind a shelf. "Go. This tunnel leads to the docks. Take Base 7's ship. Go to Sector Zeta." "What about you?" she asked. "I'll stall them," he said with a weak smile. "I've run enough in my life, now it's your turn to run for something greater." Lena wanted to argue, but she knew time was short. She slipped through the hidden door and ran. As the tunnel closed behind her, she clutched the crystal to her chest. She had come to this academy just to pass an exam. Now, she was holding the most dangerous secret in the galaxy, and everyone would be coming for her next. The code in her hand could restart a war. Lena burst out of the hidden tunnel into the cold silence of the docking bay. The air smelled of fuel, metal, and danger. Alarms still blared in the distance. She looked back. No one was following her yet. But she didn't feel safe. She clutched the glowing crystal tightly and rushed toward Bay 7, just as Zaval had said. The ship waiting there wasn't just a small personal craft, but it looked fast, and most importantly, it looked unnoticed. She jumped inside and sat in the pilot's seat. Her hands shook as she touched the controls. The ship hummed to life. She didn't know where Sector Zeta was, but the ship recognized her voice when she said the name. That was strange. Had Zaval prepared this ahead of time? As the ship lifted off the ground, Lena looked out the window. She saw flashes of red and gold in the distance, weapons fire. Zaval was fighting, or running, or maybe already caught. Her chest tightened. "Please be okay," she whispered. The ship raced through the blackness of space, autopilot guiding it through asteroid fields and signal clouds. Hours passed in silence. Lena stared at the crystal resting beside her. It was warm. She picked it up and held it close. Suddenly, it glowed brighter. And then, "Hello?" Lena gasped. The voice came from inside her mind, not like speech, like thought. "Who are you?" she whispered. "I am what remains of the precursor fleet's intelligence. I have slept for many centuries until now." She gripped the seat. "Why me?" "Because you are not like the others. You chose understanding over greed, curiosity over fear." Lena swallowed hard. "What do you want from me?" "Not want, need. The galaxy is unbalanced. War is brewing again. I carry knowledge that can prevent it, or ignite it." Lena felt her heart pound. So if someone else had taken this crystal, the fleet would obey them no matter their purpose. That scared her more than anything. She remembered Zaval's words. The last code can awaken the fleet. Thousands of ships. She thought of the aliens hunting for her now. Power-hungry warlords, ancient AI remnants, pirates. Any one of them could use this crystal to rule or destroy. And now it was in her hands. Just then, the ship slowed. It was approaching Sector Zeta, but it wasn't what she expected. It wasn't a planet. It was a hidden station floating inside a gas cloud. A dark shape, barely visible through thick blue mist. No signs, no lights. Only one blinking beacon. The ship docked quietly. When the door opened, she stepped out with shaking legs, still holding the crystal. A single figure waited inside, tall, robed, face hidden. "Welcome, Lena." "Marx," the figure said in a deep voice. "We've been expecting you." Lena froze. "Who are you?" "I am Keeper Valen. I served beside Zaval long ago. He told me if he ever failed, someone else might come." Lena stayed quiet. Valen pointed toward a sealed room behind him. "In there is the last archive. It can explain everything. Who the precursors were, why the code was hidden, what will happen if you choose wrong." Lena stepped forward slowly. "I didn't ask for any of this," she whispered. Valen nodded. "And yet, you were chosen." She walked into the archive room. It was massive. Giant glowing walls lit up with shapes and images, stars, wars, fleets, and maps of the galaxy. A small panel glowed in the center. She placed the crystal on it. Suddenly, memories not her own filled her mind. Flashes of battles between alien races. Giant machines tearing planets apart. The precursor ships turning against their creators. And one code that shut it all down. That was this crystal. She also saw a vision of herself, standing on a high platform, thousands of alien ships bowing to her. "You hold the voice of command," said the AI. "You can awaken us, or keep us sleeping. What will you choose, human?" Lena trembled. She thought about Earth, about the Academy, about how this started, just a final exam, and now, the choice to restart a war or stop it forever rested in her hands. Her decision woke up. More than just a fleet, Lina stood frozen in the archive chamber. The crystal glowed under her hand, waiting. The precursor AI's voice still echoed softly in her mind. "You can awaken us, or keep us sleeping. Decide, Lena." Marks. But how could she decide? She was just a student. She didn't know how to lead a galaxy. She could barely pass her exams. And yet, the AI spoke to her like she was something more. She looked around the glowing archive walls. One screen showed Zaval's face, young, proud, and full of secrets. Another showed the precursor ships, huge, sharp-edged, and dark, floating like sleeping giants above long-dead planets. Lena whispered, "What happens if I say yes? You become the voice of command. The fleet will wake and obey. And if I say no, the crystal will lock again. The galaxy will lose its last defense." Lena stared at the screen. "Wait. Defense? You said defense. Does that mean something's coming?" "Yes," the AI said. "Something far worse than warlords or pirates. Something we were built to fight. Something returning." The air in the chamber went cold. She had 1,000 questions. But one thing was clear. If she waited too long, it might be too late. She touched the panel again. "I accept the command," she whispered. The crystal flashed, bright and blinding, and far away, across the galaxy. A signal went out. The galaxy felt the shockwave. Deep in the core systems, ancient sensors lit up. On distant moons, rusted machines blinked awake. On pirate ships and war-bent empires, alarms screamed. In hidden places, old enemies stirred. The precursor fleet was waking, and someone, a human girl, was now in control. Back on the hidden station, Keeper Valen rushed into the archive room. "You activated it?" he asked, his voice sharp. Lena looked up, eyes glowing faintly from the connection. "Yes," Valen paused. "Then there's no time left. They will come for you now." "Who?" Lena asked. "Everyone," he said. "Those who want to use you, and those who want to kill you before you use the fleet." Suddenly, an explosion rocked the outer walls of the station. Valen spun around. "They're already here." Lena followed him into the control room. The screen showed a small but fast ship cutting through the mist outside. It had no markings, no signals. "Raiders?" she asked. Valen frowned. "No. Worse. Hunters." He turned to her. "Take the fleet's key and run. There's another ship. In Dock 3. I'll cover you." "But you'll die," Lena cried. Valen handed her a small silver band. "Put this on. It will help you connect to the command link, once you're safe." Lena wanted to argue, but the station shook again. Fire burst from one side of the wall. She ran. As she reached Dock 3, she heard shouting. Alien voices, harsh and full of anger. But she didn't stop. She jumped into the ship and slammed the door shut. The ship lifted off just as plasma fire hit the platform behind her. She flew away, fast, silent, into the blue gas cloud. The enemy ship chased her, but her new ship had cloaking systems. Valen must have planned it. Her hands trembled as she flew. The silver band was now on her wrist. It pulsed, and suddenly, she could hear them. Fleet link established. Voice recognized. Human. Command accepted. Awaiting orders. Lena stared out the window into the stars. This wasn't just about surviving anymore. She had called the sleeping fleet back to life. Now, she had to learn how to lead it. The first ship answered her call, and it wasn't empty Lena. drifted in open space far from any planet, starport, or help. The galaxy outside her small ship looked endless and dangerous. But now, something new had awakened. On her wrist, the silver command band pulsed gently. In her mind, the voice returned. Fleet link active, one vessel nearby. Responding to your signal. Lena sat up straighter. Where? Coordinates set, prepare for visual. Her ship turned slowly. The blackness of space shifted. Then she saw it. Floating in the darkness like a sleeping beast was a massive alien ship, 20 times bigger than her Academy's main station. Its surface was covered in smooth armor and glowing lines like a living circuit. It didn't look like it had been built, it looked like it had grown. Her mouth opened in shock. Designation Prime Unit 01, command ship of the Precursor Fleet. The voice in her head paused, then added something else. One life form detected inside. Lena frowned. Life form? I thought these ships were empty. This one is not. Her ship connected automatically, pulling her into the hangar bay below the massive ship. As her ship landed, the bay lights blinked on by themselves. The door opened. She stepped out slowly. The hangar was quiet, huge, cold, and empty, except she saw a figure standing across the floor, not a robot, not an alien soldier, but a girl. She looked about Lena's age, maybe younger. Skin pale, glowing faintly with golden patterns, hair like silver mist, eyes completely white, but somehow not blind. The girl smiled. You came. Lena stepped closer. Who are you? The girl bowed her head. I am called Era. I am the ship. Lena blinked. The what? I am the core, the heart of this vessel, a living interface. I was created to guide the commander. Lena was speechless. She thought the Precursor ships were just machines, but this girl was alive. You're not human, Lena said quietly. No, Era replied, but I was made to understand your kind. Your voice awoke me, Lena slowly asked. Are there more like you? Era looked up at the stars. Not many. Some were lost. Some turned against their creators. I remained, waiting. Lena held up the glowing crystal. This brought me here, Era nodded, and this ship is now yours to command. Lena shook her head. I don't know how. Ira stepped closer and gently touched the band on Lena's wrist. It glowed bright. Link confirmed. Prime unit now under command of human Lena Marks. I don't want power, Lena whispered. Then, you are the best one to hold it, Era replied. Suddenly, a red light blinked in the bay. A voice echoed inside the ship. Incoming signal. Enemy craft detected, pursuit vessels approaching fast. Lena turned to Era. Can we outrun them? Era smiled. We don't have to. The floor vibrated. The entire ship was waking up. Walls lit up. Weapons activated. Engines hummed. Era spoke with calm strength. They chased a student. Now, they face a fleet. Lena followed Era to the main command bridge. Giant screens showed the enemy ships closing in. 3 sleek war vessels, fast and armed. They don't know what they're attacking, Lena said quietly. Era tilted her head. Do you want to fire? Lena stared at the ships, then at the stars beyond them. No, not yet. Just show them we're not afraid. Era nodded. The Precursor ship activated a defense field. It spread like a golden wave, lighting up the darkness. The enemy ships paused. Scans showed them trying to calculate what they were seeing. Then, they turned around and vanished into hyperspace. Era smiled. Wise choice. Lena took a deep breath. They'll be back, and with more. Yes, Era said. But now you have a ship. And a voice. And what about the rest of the fleet? Lena asked. Will they come? Era turned to her with glowing eyes. Only if you call them. She was sent to pass a test but became the galaxy's final hope. Lena stood at the center of the command bridge, staring at the endless stars through the wide front window. The galaxy looked peaceful, beautiful, silent, but it wasn't. It was waiting. Behind her, the living ship, Prime Unit 01, hummed gently. Its glowing lights pulsed like a heartbeat. And next to her, the strange silver-eyed girl, Era, stood calm and still. "The rest of the fleet is scattered," Era said. "Some sleep, some are buried, others are being hunted." Lena looked down at her hand. The command band glowed brighter than ever. The precursor code had accepted her. It called her the voice of command. But what did that mean, really? She hadn't asked for this. She didn't feel powerful. She felt like a tired student, still unsure if she had passed her exam. And yet, the galaxy had begun to change because of her. Suddenly, the ship's sensors flared red. Distress signal detected. Ira turned to Lena. From another precursor vessel, located on the edge of the Zarnak Rift. "Who sent it?" Lena asked. Ira paused. "It is not a voice. It is a scream." Lena didn't hesitate. Set a course. The ship leapt into hyperspace. When they arrived, the sight made Lena gasp. Floating, near a broken moon, was a precursor battleship, ripped apart, burning from inside. Strange ships flew around it like scavengers, machines, black, sharp, insect-like. "AI remnants," Era said darkly. "The last enemies of the precursors. They survived, and they're feeding on the old ones." Lena clenched her fists. "Are there any survivors?" Era nodded. "The ship's core is still alive, but only barely. We have to help." Era turned to her. "You understand what that means?" Lena looked at her. "They'll come after us next." Era smiled softly. "And still, you choose to help." Lena stepped forward. "Yes. Because if we let one ship die today, the others may never rise." She raised her voice. "This is Lena Marks, voice of command. All precursor vessels still listening. Awaken. Now this is the call, this is the fight." For a moment the stars remained still. Then, light. Across distant corners of space, forgotten ships blinked awake. Engines flared. Ancient systems powered on. Hidden bases stirred. The fleet was rising. Lena's ship dove into battle. It fired golden beams of light that tore through the black AI machines. Era controlled the movement, graceful and deadly. Lena stood at the command center guiding the rescue. They reached the wounded battleship and sent a beam of pure data, reviving its dying systems. The ship responded by activating its shields and returning fire. The AI swarm scattered, and then something even more powerful happened. Messages came from deep space. "Unit 07 ready. Orders? Unit 16 awakened. Reporting to human command. Prime Corps responding. Fleet protocol restored." Dozens of precursor ships now floated behind her, each one waiting for Lena's voice. Era turned to her. "They are yours now." Lena took a deep breath. She had once begged her professor for a passing grade. Now she stood at the head of a lost armada. She spoke calmly, firmly. "This fleet will not be used to conquer. We won't bring fear. We will protect. Help. Stand. Between the innocent and the cruel. The old war is over. We rise now. To defend life." A wave of light passed through the fleet as every ship accepted her command. Era looked proud. "You have passed a test greater than any exam." Lena smiled. "For the first time in days, I think. I finally understand why Zabel chose me." Back at the academy weeks later, Lena returned quietly, unnoticed by many. She handed her final paper to Professor Zabel. He didn't even look at the grade. He just smiled and said, "The galaxy whispers your name now." She sat down in class, again as if nothing had happened. But in the sky above the space station, invisible to most, dozens of starships floated silently, watching, waiting. Because Lena Marks was more than a student now. She was a guardian of peace. The human girl who, once failed, now held the key to the galaxy's future.